You wake up before sunrise to the sound of something you were never supposed to hear: an entire invasion fleet attacking the coast. You are a German soldier stationed along the Normandy coast, and within minutes, the ground beneath you begins to shake. You rush toward the bunker entrance, but before you can see the sea, another explosion hits. Dust fills the room. Someone shouts that ships are everywhere. Then you hear the words that change everything. The invasion has begun. You climb onto the defensive position and finally see it. The horizon is covered with ships, hundreds of them. Landing craft are moving toward the beaches, aircraft are filling the sky, and the ocean looks almost black beneath the massive invasion fleet. You have been told for months that an Allied invasion is coming, but warnings are different from reality. Reality is standing in front of you now, stretching across the entire sea, and you suddenly realize something terrifying. There may be no way to stop it. Your commanding officer orders everyone into position. You grab your rifle, check your ammunition, and crouch behind the concrete wall. Around you, men who were joking only hours ago are now silent. Nobody knows exactly what is coming next. Then the sky changes. Allied aircraft roar overhead. You look up as formations of planes pass across the clouds, and for a moment you understand just how enormous this operation is. This is not a raid. This is an army coming for Europe. You hear another order: hold your position. Do not retreat. The problem is that you cannot even see the enemy clearly yet. The beach is hidden behind smoke, mist, explosions, and the enormous noise of war. Then the first landing craft reaches the shore. More follow behind it, then more. You realize the beach is no longer empty. Allied soldiers are pouring onto the sand, moving toward the defenses you were standing behind. Your hands tighten around the rifle. You have trained for this moment, but training never showed you what hundreds of boats would look like. You are no longer thinking about politics, generals, or maps. You are thinking about surviving the next few minutes. The bombardment becomes deafening. Naval shells strike around the defensive positions, sending clouds of dust and smoke into the air. Your bunker shakes so violently that you have to press yourself against the wall just to stay upright. For a few minutes, you cannot even fight. You can only wait. You listen to the explosions above you and wonder whether the concrete will hold. Then, suddenly, the bombardment shifts farther inland. You step outside again. The beach is chaos. Landing craft are scattered across the water. Smoke covers the shoreline, and Allied soldiers are advancing through the obstacles. Your officer points toward the beach and orders you to fire. You raise your rifle. For the first time, you see the enemy clearly. They are moving forward despite everything happening around them. You realize they are just as frightened as you are, but they keep coming. Your unit opens fire. The beach erupts with movement, smoke, and confusion. You keep your head low, reload, and look for targets through the haze. Every few seconds, another group of Allied soldiers appears closer than the last. Then you hear something behind you. A messenger arrives with terrible news. Allied airborne troops have landed inland during the night. Roads are being blocked. Bridges are being threatened. The battlefield is no longer just the beach. It is everywhere. Your unit is told to prepare for a counterattack. You leave the coastal position and move inland with your equipment. The quiet roads you knew yesterday are now filled with smoke, damaged vehicles, confused soldiers, and civilians trying to understand what is happening. You reach a village where your unit stops to reorganize. Nobody knows exactly where the Allied forces are anymore. Orders are arriving late, radio messages are incomplete, and every road seems to lead toward another part of the invasion. Your officer finally receives new instructions. Move toward the fighting. Reinforce the threatened sector. You start marching again, but now the fear feels different. You are no longer waiting for the invasion. You are moving directly toward it. As you approach the front, the sound grows louder. Artillery echoes through the countryside. Aircraft pass overhead. You move through hedgerows and fields, realizing that Normandy itself has become a maze of roads, farms, walls, and hidden positions. You reach a defensive position and look across the field. Allied forces are somewhere beyond the hedgerows. Your unit is exhausted, your ammunition is limited, and the map in your hands no longer matches the reality around you. Then the order comes: hold the line. You take your position behind the hedgerow. For the first time all day, there is a strange silence. You know it will not last. A distant movement breaks the silence, then another. You grip your rifle and stare through the leaves. The invasion that began on the beach has reached the countryside. There is nowhere left to hide from it. Hours pass. Your unit is pushed from one position to another. You become tired, thirsty, dirty, and mentally exhausted. The confident soldier who woke up before sunrise feels like a completely different person now. As evening approaches, you finally understand the scale of what happened. The Allies have established themselves on the Normandy coast. More troops, vehicles, weapons, and supplies are arriving. The invasion is no longer something you can push back in a single attack. Night finally arrives. You sit beside your rifle in a temporary defensive position, listening to distant explosions. Around you, exhausted soldiers whisper quietly. Nobody knows what tomorrow will bring, but everyone understands one thing: D-Day was only the beginning. You think back to the moment before sunrise when the sea was still empty. Now everything has changed. Thousands of Allied troops are ashore. The German defenses have been tested, and the war has entered a new and dangerous phase. You don't know how the war will end. You don't know if you will still be here tomorrow. You only know that you have survived one of the most important days of the Second World War, and the battle around you is far from finished. D-Day was not simply a battle you watched from a bunker. It was a day when an enormous Allied force broke onto the European continent and forced German soldiers like you to confront a reality that could no longer be ignored. The Western Front had returned. And that's what makes your story terrifying. You didn't wake up knowing you were about to become history. You simply woke up, heard the explosions, followed your orders, and tried to survive as the largest amphibious invasion in history unfolded around you. If you had been standing there on D-Day, what would you have done when that fleet appeared on the horizon? Tell me in the comments. If this POV made you feel like you were actually there, like the video. Subscribe for more historical experiences from inside the moments that changed the world, and watch the next video to step into another impossible day of history.